So we'll start this morning's class. Seated, one block, one strap. As ever, take things at your own pace. If you find yourself gritting your teeth and holding your breath, allow yourself to a little bit of respite and sort of kind of nurture your body a little bit more. Just going to sit up nice and tall. Heels are into the groin, so heel to heel alignment. Chin down on the ground, so you get that nice base to work from. And give yourself a little bit of time to lengthen the spine out. I'll take my top off here. And let those shoulders relax, soften. Maybe some wriggles through the neck if you need. Well, seems I do need this morning. And we'll take the opportunity to just roll the neck around a little bit. Bring the chin in towards the chest. And take the chin gently out towards that left shoulder. So looking along the floor to the wall. And the eyes climb up the wall to the ceiling. And then gently across. So nice slow movement. Plenty of time for the discs and the nerves and everything else to rearrange. You come down the opposite wall, along the floor, get a sight of your right shoulder, chin in towards the chest. We'll take it out to the opposite side, just slowly float through. And we'll take a final rotation to the left. And then when you come to the center, we'll let the head lift this time. Let's take a twist. Easy one, just holding the position over to the left or to the right, you choose. You can try to sit up nice and tall. I tend to use the hands to help just draw me around a little bit. Try and relax the legs. Find space to breathe. Take that around to the opposite side. Just moving in gently. Taking it easy, a little bit like we did with the neck. Give the muscles time to sort of glide over each other for the discs to attune to the fact they're being compressed a little in a different way. And then we'll come back to the center. I'll take some side bends, walk out to the left side and draw the right arm up and over. Bend a little bit into that bottom elbow if it feels good. Otherwise, you can press down through the hand and reach out to the side and up. Bending the elbow, you're sort of stretching out to the side a little more. And then we'll lift back up and see how it feels to go to the opposite side. Again, trying to keep the legs nice and low. Move the arm up. Just drawing the shoulders back a little bit so the chest stays open. You don't round into a pose accidentally or unintentionally. And we'll press back up. Now take the hands onto the knees deliberately and start to spiral through the spine a little bit. So I'm going to take it out to the left, forwards, over to the right side, leaning back a little bit, just a fraction, and then stirring round. So getting a little bit of movement into the shoulders as well. And we'll take it the opposite direction. And we'll come back into the center. I'm going to lie down onto the ground. I'm going to use the block behind the back of the head. That's more of an optional. And I'm going to have the strap close by as well. Knees high, chin into chest, hands behind. Just use the arms along with your abdominal muscles to ease your way down. Unravel that ahead of time. And then making sure if you're using the block, it's underneath your head rather than pressing into your neck. We'll lift the tailbone a little bit just to get that lower back into the floor, and then wriggle the feet in towards your bottom, so knees and thighs touch. We'll take the right knee to the chest, take the hands around the shin and slide the left leg out. Now it's going to be an active leg today. Going to rotate inwards a little bit with the thigh on the left, press out through the heels and flex the toes towards me. And then once that leg feels like it's lengthened out, I'm going to press out enough so I can start to feel the hip and the pelvis pulling a little in that direction. I'm going to draw the right knee towards you now, starting to use my arms and my shoulders. So starting to move the pelvis out of alignment if I'm not careful. So I'm going to try to think about realigning my pelvis into a neutral position. For me, it means I need to press the right sitting bone away a little bit, and even though I'm lengthening out through the left leg, I'm drawing the left sitting bone back a little bit. It's just leveling out the pelvis. So now both legs are very strong in terms of feeling like power and energy moving through. I'm going to flex both feet and spread the toes. And then I'm going to release. And just bring the feet back in towards the bottom again, nice and gently. I'll bring my left knee in and slide the right leg out. So keeping the foot in contact with the ground the whole time, so there's no nasty shocks to the spine. Lengthen out through the leg or rotate in. Take a few breaths here. Sort of feel the magic of the stretch happening. I want to try and keep the calf and the heel in contact with the ground. So avoid pressing into the back of the knee. And then I can start to use the strength of the arms and the shoulders again to draw the left leg towards us. And then consciously thinking about moving through the pelvis. You'll feel your abdominal muscles engage when you try to move your sitting bones around. Flex both feet and spread the toes. Release. well. So I'm going to work with the legs up into the ceiling. Take the right knee in towards my body, take the strap around the sole of the foot. Alternative would be to just take the hands around the back of the thigh. You want to press the thigh into the hands and press the heel towards the sky. If you're using the strap, you want straight arms, you want to draw the shoulders back into the floor, and you want a little tiny bend in the knee so that you can press into the strap with your foot, which would be flexed, to avoid pressing into the back of the knee. So we're activating the muscles. We're not stretching them out to lengthen them up. We're just warming them up. They are getting lengthened out. We're very effective and efficient in our efforts. And you might find that taking hold of the strap for a minute at a time can be strong in the hands, and binding the fists around can make that a whole lot easier. I'm relatively okay on my fingers this morning. There's enough energy through the leg and the arms for the abdominal muscles to switch on a little bit as well. And pulling the hips down into the floor. Last breath in and then release. Now swap over to the opposite leg. Generally, the legs are pretty much the same length, so you can use the same length of strap. Again, we put a little bit of a bend in the knee, just a little bit, and then activate those back muscles along with the arm muscles to draw resistance. And then we'll release from there as well. So that's the strap to the side. I draw the knees in towards my body, sort of loosely squeezing the knees together. Arms come out wide, so the feet are off the ground. I'm going to roll the body over, or my legs over towards the right side. Now I want to try and keep the thighs together and the heels pressing together. I'm just going to take the block and just squeeze that between my knees, so I've got something viable to press against other than just the legs. It gives you a little bit of space. And I'm trying to keep the knees and the feet hovering off of the ground the same height. So depending on the amount of rotation you get, keeping your shoulders on the ground, your legs may be sort of half an inch from the floor, or they could be several inches away. We're going to slowly roll the legs back up, still breathing easy, and then take the legs over to the opposite side. Just easing in, being conscious of the pressure in the spine in that rotation. Definitely more pressure through the facet joints in the spine from the first twist that we took. So this isn't the only twist we've taken this morning, but it's probably the strongest. I find if you keep the feet flexed towards you, it's a little easier to squeeze the thighs together onto that block and keep the heels together. And try and relax the shoulders a little bit. and the muscles around the back of the ribs. We'll take our last breath here and use the exhale. Ooh, feels like a long way. Come back up. And I'll just move that out from the thighs towards the back of the mat. Stretch it out a little bit. And I'm going to roll over onto my right side. Use the hands to press into the floor and then come back up. Just spin the feet around towards the back of the mat and come down onto the belly. So hopefully that block is far enough out of the way so your toes can be either side of it. And I'm going to bring the hands down by the bottom of the ribs for some low cobras. Just rolling the thighs inwards, heels out, inhaling, squeezing the elbows together very lightly, and then back down. Inhaling up, and exhaling down. Inhaling up, and releasing down. Got 3 more. Try and press the thighs down and away. And a little squeeze into the shoulder blades to emphasize. Those elbows drawing back a little bit. Try not to leave with the head and the neck. Try to allow us to come from sort of mid-back down to sort of bottom of the thighs in terms of contraction through that posterior chain. We'll come up for the last one. I'm going to leave the hands where they are, but just tuck the toes underneath, heel away from the floor, allow myself to come up onto all fours. I bring the fingers into the very front of the mat and then let the shoulders come over the wrists. I tuck the toes underneath, allow myself to take down dog. A few breaths just to stretch out the back of the legs, hiding the heels behind your ankles. We'll take the breath in to plank, keeping the hips as high as the shoulders nicely rounded across the back of the shoulders. We'll move back into our down dog. On the exhale, come forwards into the plank, exploring the whole of the breath, and using the exhale to go back. Inhale it forwards. Lifting up high with the belly and back, hoping that the shoulders warm up a little bit, maybe get a little deeper. Come forwards again. Take it back. Try and use the whole of the breath to keep moving. We'll come forward for the last time. And ease the knees to the floor. Keep the toes tucked under. Walk the hands back in. Allow yourself to take the arms out wide. We're going to take a surface stretch, right arm across the body. And we'll release and take it to the opposite side. And then come back down onto all fours. Going to untuck toes just for a moment. And then tuck the toes of the right foot underneath. Press into the left shin. We'll take the right leg away from the ground. Take a little breath from there. And allow ourselves to put a bend into the back knee. We'll take the left hand forwards. We'll come into the twist. So just following the hand around with the eyes until we can see a foot back there. Makes it much easier if you catch the a glance of your foot out the corner of your eye, you can then bring your leg in and hand coordinate together. And that makes it easier to keep your balance if you can see what you're catching hold of. Just for a fraction of a second makes a big difference. Slowly release everything out. Bring it back down to the floor. Breath in and out to settle into neutral with the belly drawn in. We'll tuck the toes with the opposite leg. Lengthen that leg away. Put a little bend into the knee. Right hand comes out. We twist to the right side and around. Spot your foot. Try and keep the knee about the same height as your hip. Pressing the shin away. Chest is nicely opened. And we'll release it out. Bring ourselves onto all fours again. Front of the mat, down dog. Now we'll draw the left knee in towards the chest. We'll come into plank and take the left knee to the left elbow. Move slowly back into down dog. We'll change the feet over. The right knee comes in. Move forwards into the plank. Tap the elbow. Back into dog, foot to the floor. To the left. Coming forwards. Keeping the hips high. Coming muscles drawn in. Foot to the ground. Right leg comes in. Squeeze. Tap. And back. Left leg comes in. Squeeze. As you come forwards. Little tap. And back. Right leg comes in. Squeeze. Forward. And tap. And back. The left leg in. And tap. And back. Right leg in. Forwards. Tap. And back. Feet to the floor. Going to walk the hands to the toes. Forward bend. Now, as your fingers and your toes align, bring hands onto the shin to lift up halfway. Chest is drawn forward, shoulders back. We fold at the hip. Hands onto the shin, lift it up. And back down. Hands on the shin, lift it up. And back down. We'll take the hands forwards a little bit so we can walk the feet easily out to the corner edges of the mat. Turn the toes out a little bit and we'll squat them down. So bringing the bottom down as low as you need, don't have to do any lower than that. Body is more or less parallel to the floor as you take a breath in, and then allow your body to loosen so your spine can round and the head can hang. From here we'll take a breath and rainbow out, keeping the belly drawn in, just driving through the legs slowly. We'll swoop the arms out to the side on the inhale. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Turn the toes back inwards. And then let yourselves hinge back down to the floor. As flat spine as you can. Until your fingertips come to the floor. Turn the toes out once you've arrived. Squatting down and take a breath in. Loosen the body. Let it hang down. Second breath in. Drive through the legs to lift up. Bring the arms out again wide. To the sky. Through the heart. Hands into the heart, we turn the toes in again. We're going to hinge at the hips. Fingers on the floor. Turn the toes out. Soften into the knees. Thumb down low. Let the body hang as we exhale. Breath in. And then drive to the legs. We're coming up for the last time. Just swooping the arms out. Bring the hands in towards your heart. We're going to wiggle the toes in towards the center line this time. And step about halfway down the mat. Feet together. I'm going to soften the knees over the toes, squeezing the thighs together. We're sitting back into chair. So I'm going to take a couple of little lifts where I rock through the toes, lift the heels away from the floor, just to get a little bit of opening into the ankles and catching the balance. Now looking towards the front end of the mat, but you could look out in front as well. I'm going to slowly take the arms out wide on the inhale, lean the weight into the right leg, allow myself to wrap the left leg around coming into eagle, foot around the back of the calf if possible. So left arm across, then right arm over the top. Oops, squeaky voice. Palms together. I'm going to release that out. Take the feet back onto the floor. Let ourselves lift up, hands towards the sky. And towards the heart. Soften the knees. Again, just take that little bit of a rock backwards and forwards through the ankles. So getting some malleability into the feet to help when we need the stability. We'll take the arms out wide. Lean into the left. Right leg comes across and over, wraps around. This time it's the right arm first, left arm over the top. Palms together. We'll put the arms out again. Untangle, we'll take the hands high again on the inhale. And then through the heart. Exhaling down to the floor, we'll take one forward bend. Hands onto the back of the calves, palms facing in. And try to ease the calves forward to the front of the mat. The result is ribs get a little closer to the side. And then we're slowly going to let the hands come out to the side. So like a reverse swan dive, lifting up carefully, nice and strong on the spine. We'll bring the hands above the head into the tiniest of back bends. And then ease the hands back in towards the heart. Let's step into the front of the mat, feet hip distance apart. And exhale down to the floor. Let's step the left foot back into lunge, dropping the heel in. I bring the hands alongside the body and cartwheel my way up into my warrior two. Bring hands in towards the heart and then down to the floor. Here we go. We're stepping back into down dog, arranging the feet as we need to. Come forward into the plank. We're going to take half planks. Remember, we only need to come down as far as your elbows. Bootlaces chained. Move into up dog, strong legs, knees off the ground. Lift the hips up and roll over the toes. Into down dog. Let ourselves come forward into plank. Knees to the ground. I'm going to sit all the way back onto the heels. Toes are untucked. Head to the ground. You take a few breaths here in child's pose. And the next exhale, Press into the shins, rounded spine to all fours. Shoulders over the wrists, tuck the toes under, down dog. Scissor the left leg high, pointy toes. Draw the knee in towards the chest and foot through for the lunge. Press off the back toes. Step it into that forward bend. Bring hands onto the hips, soft knees, lift. Bring hands into the heart, take the breath in. And exhale down again. Tummy's drawn in, soft knees. Taking the breath, right leg back. We'll drop the heel in from lunge. Bring the hands alongside the body. Again, we'll lift into our warrior two. Bring the hands in towards the heart. And down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Going forwards into plank. Half plank to up dog. Roll it back into down dog. Knees to the ground. Get back into child's pose again. Untuck the toes, forward to the ground. Leave the arms outstretched. Right into the front edge of the mat. Big stretch down the sides of the body. Knees relatively close together. Last breath in. Easy exhale to lift up to all fours, shoulders over the wrist, into our down dog. We'll scissor the right leg high, then bring the knee in towards the chest and through for the lunge. Press off the back toes into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips as we lift up. Bring the hands to the heart again. Breath in. Exhale it down. We'll take the left foot back into lunge and drop the heel in. We're going to bring the hands alongside the body. Cartwheels through, warrior two. This time we'll take the hands high above the shoulders and rotate the body towards the front of the mat. Spin on the back foot, so we come into high crescent. We're going to drop the back knee half an inch from the floor and then lift up, keeping it slow movement. All the way back down again, using the exhale. Inhaling on the way up. Coming down for three, keeping the belly drawn in. Don't worry if you bump into the floor, as long as it's not hard. Soft landings are okay. And the last time coming down. Now bring the hands into the heart. Fingers to the floor. Step back into our down dog. Come forward. Plank. Push forwards on the tippy toes, half plank. Up dog. Roll it back into your down dog. We'll scissor the left leg high. Bring the knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through. And stepping into the forward bend. Hands on the hips, soft knees and lift. Hands to the heart. Breath in. Exhaling down. Take a breath. Right foot to the back of the mat into your lunge. Drop the heel in. Warrior two for the lift. Hands come high again. We're rotating slowly. Front of the mat. Catch your balance. Then start your exhales coming down. That leaves you with a natural desire to inhale as you come up. And before you know it, you're breathing. Two. The chest nice and open, so the shoulders are a little bit drawn towards the back of the mat. Belly in. We're coming down for the last one. And then bring hands to the floor. Step it back into our dog. Come forward into the plank. Half plank. Up dog. Down dog. Inhale, right scissor. Knee to chest, use your exhale to come through. Breath in. Push up the toes. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up. Hands to the heart, breath in. Exhale down to the floor. We're taking the left foot to the back of the mat. Allow ourselves to come in, warrior two. We'll turn the palm for the front hand and reverse warrior. Sink in into warrior two. Extend out over the front thigh. Side angle, hand to floor if you can manage it, or thigh for the forearm. Lift slowly back up, warrior two. Hands to the heart, down to the floor we go. Step it back into our dog. We'll come forwards into plank. Half plank. Up dog. Roll it back into our down dog. Scissor on the inhale, left leg. Knee to chest. And exhale through. Breath. Push off the toes. Forward bend. Hands over the hips, last side. Hands to the heart. And exhale down. Breath in. Right leg back. Heel drops in. So warrior two for the lift. Into the reverse warrior. And extend out. And down. Inhale it back up. Hands to the heart. Rotate to the floor. Stepping back into our dog. Come forwards into plank. Inhale for up dog. Roll the shoulders back. Down dog. Scissor in the right leg high. Knee to chest. Foot through. And step it into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Lovely. Take the arms out wide this time. Inhale. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. We're stepping the left foot back and dropping the heel in. We're going to lift into warrior two. And float into the reversing warrior. Back into warrior two. Extend out. Or hand onto the thigh or hand to the floor. We'll turn the palm of the top hand and extend that arm out towards the front of the mat. Pop the hips over towards the left side a little bit if they've moved out to the right. Keep pressing down through both legs. Stretching out through those raised fingertips to the front of the mat. Last breath in. We'll turn the chest to the floor. Bring both hands on the inside. Allow yourself to walk the fingers around to the long edge. Turning the toes in. So we're going to come into a wide leg forward bend. We'll start on the fingertips for the breath in. And then allow ourselves to fold down. Now once you've come down, see if you can take hold of the big toes with an index finger and middle finger. Use your thumb to sort of supplement to your big toe for stability. And on the exhale, see if you can ease your elbows out to the side, lifting the hips up towards the sky. Shoulders drawn away from the ears. So you're getting width across the back of the body and the front of the chest. It will draw you down a little more. And we'll walk the hands back in and take the hands through to the front of the mat again. Take a wee breath and then step into that forward bend. We'll take a moment to relax down a little more into that forward standing bend. Just a little bit of time to become more conscious of the weight being even through the feet, front and back, and the sides. You will notice that more through the back of your hamstring. We'll bring the hands onto the hips, and soft knees and a flat back to lift up. We'll take the hands high again. Bring the hands through the heart and exhale down to the floor. We're taking the right foot back into the lunge, dropping the heel in, and lifting into our warrior twos. Again, we're going to take those into reverse warrior. Extend out over the front leg. Coming down to the floor, top arm high to start with. Give it a chance for the shoulder to release. The hips move a little more to the right. Then we begin to turn the palm forward and extend that arm out. So trying to have the arm sort of running parallel to the floor, so the arm gets close to your ear. Chest stays open towards the sky. So you're still trying to rotate that bottom rib, difficult as it is, up towards the sky. Last breath in. We're going to rotate the body down, hands to the floor. Take the relief of that into the fingers going around to the long side of the mat. Turn toes in. Take a little breath. Now we're going to fold again, but this time we're going to simply walk the hands underneath the body. So we're going to turn the palms, thumbs towards the feet, and take the fingers out to the long side of the mat on the opposite. Try and keep the legs pressing down and the hips up. A slightly stronger version, the spine can round a bit more. Try not to lead with your head. Keep the shoulders nice and open and wide, and press into the feet so the knees don't buckle too much. Hands forwards again. And walk our way around to the front of the mat. We're going to step back into down dog this time. And ease the feet to about the middle line of my mat. I'll walk the hands towards me as well. And then wiggling my feet out and use all of the mat. The heels are on the edges of the mat, and then I'm going to turn the toes out. Allow myself to sink down again. So we're getting to that point where the bottom is close to being the height of the knees. Now you want really your feet to be underneath your knees, so you might need to wriggle from side to side and slowly take your feet off of the mat so you're a little wider. So it kind of depends on, if you're a tall or a short person. We'll bring the hands onto the sides, allow the body to lift. We're keeping the bottom as low as it was, hopefully. Still rocking out, so getting into that groin opening a little deeper. And just getting used to taking the weight into the hamstrings, those groin muscles, still bearing a lot of weight through the shoulders at the moment. Now I'm going to start to take the strain of the weight out of the arms. So it's not going to look anything dramatically different, but I just know that my legs are doing all the lifting, my arms are doing less. I'm going to take a breath and allow the right shoulder to drop down towards the floor. Center line is where I'm aiming for, with the top shoulder towards the sky, looking up with the eyes. I'll come back again, allow myself to lean forwards, dropping the left shoulder, looking over the right shoulder towards the sky, and then coming back up. So now we've taken that slowly. We can work a little bit more with the breath, just rotating from one side to the other. Remember, you're aiming to take your shoulder to the center line, top shoulder to the sky. Coming for the last side. And then drive your legs to lift up. Sweep the arms high and towards the heart. And zigzag those toes back onto the mat. Where I can take a forward bend, soften the knees, hinge forward gently. Gonna let the hands walk into the front of the mat again. Take the feet back into my down dog and then come into tabletop. So the shoulders are over the wrists, knees to the ground. Going to take a couple of rounds of cat-cow here. I'm going to take it forwards. This time as I exhale, I'm going to round the spine and drop it back into child's pose. Elbows to the ground, take the breath in. Rise through the shins, belly in. Come back up again. Draw the chest forwards, take the breath in. Let's start to tilt the pelvis the opposite way, around in the spine, sitting back. Onto the heels. And back into neutral. Now I'm going to take a side plank here. So I'm going to take the feet back into plank first of all, nice high hips. Take the feet over towards the left and allow the right hand to lift. We'll turn the palm forwards and extend the top arm out towards the front of the mat. So my arm and my ear are very close together. I'm going to lift the hips as high as I can, so pressing into the feet. Bring it back up. Going to cross over to the opposite side. Make sure the fingers nicely will spread out. Roll it across. We'll come high first. Palm reaching up to the sky. Once we feel stable, we'll turn the palm in the front hand. Extend out. And bring ourselves back. Knees to the ground. We're going to thread the needle. So back into tabletop. Just there a little bit. I'll take the right arm up towards the sky on the inhale. Thread that through and down. Now, providing you can press your shoulder easily into the ground, and shins into the floor, supporting your body off of your neck, you can take your left hand to the sky and wrap the arm around towards the right thigh. If you're not able to do that, pressing the shoulder down to the floor and taking some weight out of the neck, and hands on the ground. Top shoulder draws over towards the back behind you a little bit. Helps open the ribs up. Take the last breath here. And release the hand back to the sky, to the floor. Press away. Take a moment for the neck to release. And then we'll take the left hand out and up. Roll that under and through. Same thing applies. So shoulder and ear to the ground, center line. Press into the shoulder actively, pressing down to see if you can take the hand high and wrap it around. It's not worth taking the risk if you haven't got your shoulder on the floor. You really don't want to take your hand away from the ground. It's much too pressure on the neck. And we'll extend the top arm up towards the sky. Back down to the floor or press away. Now let's spin the feet out to the side. And reach back and find my trusty block. Place that underneath the bottom. Sitting up tall, feet together, Dandasana. Hands on the thigh by the side of the body. Just flexing the toes back, letting them out through the legs a little bit. Draw the left leg in, heel to the groin, knee out to the side. Support that with a wedge or a block if you need to, if the knee doesn't get to the floor. If you want to press down a little, we'll take the bend into the shin on the front leg. Allow yourself to fold over with the hands just staying high on the shin bone. You take a few breaths to come down. Just be careful to keep the head in line with the body. And shoulders away from the ears. Drawn back and out a little to the sides. Belly drawn in. Breath is into the ribs. Lengthen the body out towards the foot. Now we'll press the hands on the floor to lift up. We'll cross it over to the opposite leg. Square the hips a little bit. Remember to make sure that the knee is pressed into something on the bent leg. Hands on the shins. Folding forward slowly. And we're going to take several breaths. Drawing the belly in. There is no rush to come down. Draw the body forwards, the belly in. You can press the tailbone lightly back. Shin into the floor, heel into the ground, toes to the sky. Thigh rolls in a little bit, just a fraction. And then we'll release from there as well. Hands to the floor, make it soft and easy to come up. Going to take the feet out towards the front of the mat. Going to use the block behind the head so I can see the clock easily. So it's not compulsory by any means. Just allow yourself to come down safely. So support your spine as you come down using your hands. And then I'm going to just press the elbows into the floor and the shoulders a little bit, lift the hips off the ground, just a little wiggle, and then let them come back down. So I get that sort of natural curve in the lower back to smooth it out a little bit. I'll lay the spine to the floor. I'm going to ease my toes towards the corner edges of the mat, just feeding them out gently and sliding the heels along the ground for that last little bit. So the legs always stay in contact with the ground. It's easier on the neck muscles and the nervous system. I let the toes roll out, the palms up towards the sky, and hands are out to the side of the body a little. I'll take a couple of longer breaths. I'm going to use some nice big exhales out through the mouth. And hopefully taking that level of relaxation forwards for the next few minutes. We'll begin to wriggle the fingers and toes, breathing a little deeper. Now the wrists and the ankles to join in. And in your own time, when you're ready, allow yourself to stretch in any way that feels good to you. Just follow your instincts. Trust that will be enough. If you haven't already, we'll slide the heels along the ground towards us. And then one leg at a time comes to the body. We'll take the hands very loosely around the spine can stay flat to the floor. Going to rock a little from side to side to build some momentum. And then on an exhale, just roll it out onto the right side of the body. Take a breath, use the hands to press into the floor and unravel away from the ground. Nice and smoothly, easy on the spine. We'll sit back up and then bring the hands to the heart. The eyes closed. Take a longer breath in. And gently begin to exhale, allowing the chin to drop. Finding the belly drawn to the spine, bowing to the floor. Sealing the practice for the morning. As the breath comes back in, allowing the spine to build. Lift the head, open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Hope you enjoyed. And see you again on the mat again soon.